Welcome. One of the things that can keep us sane in a maddening external world is a regular practice. So here we are today, gathering all of your yoga stuff, putting on some comfy clothes, and let's begin. Finding Sukhasana, the right ankle crossed in front of the left, sitting on a bolster, pulling the sit bones back and out to the side, those familiar gestures that bring us into our practice space. The palms are open to the sky, the outer arms back, the eyelids closing. Soft, smooth inhalations and exhalations. With each exhale, releasing more and more tension from the shoulders, from the brain. With each exhale, releasing the tightness of thoughts. The clouds dispersing, blue sky. Soft, smooth inhalations and exhalations. Envisaging this blue sky, lifting the hands and pressing the palms together. And from this space, opening together with one arm. Inhale. And exhale, releasing. The eyelids opening. And let's begin. Alright, moving our bolsters to the side for now. And let's start off straight in hanging Uttanasana. Hands on the hips, feet firm, legs firm. Front shoulders back, elbows back, inhale. And exhale, leading with the chest, coming forward and holding on to the upper arms with the hands, dropping the head right down. Keep the heels densely pressing down. The kneecaps being gripped up by the quadriceps. The hands pulling the elbows towards the ground, maximizing the length. And then placing the hands on the mat and stepping back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Heels lifted, knees bent, femur bones into the hip sockets. Being even, being steady, dispersing your attention everywhere. And then extending the legs. And re-bending, femurs into the hip sockets. And extending. Re-bending. Being present. Observing, being with the action, and extending, straightening the legs, sit bones lifting. And now move the feet slightly forward and keep the sit bones lifting, the front thighs pressing back, the shins pressing back, and press the heels down. The heels of the hands pressing down, the heels of the feet pressing down. The arms straight, the legs straight. The sit bones peeking up to the sky, lifting up, lightness coming to them, but the heels remaining dense. And then bringing the knees to the ground. Hands on the hips and stepping the right leg forward. And with an exhale, lunging forward. Move the elbows back, lift the chest, and bolt the outer hips together. And back up. And now moving this foot forward, further forward, a lot further forward. Elbows back and lunging forward. See how when we've moved it forward, the shin is perpendicular to the ground. Press down into the heel, roots through the feet. Chest lifted. Right hand on the thigh. Stretch the left arm and bend the elbow and hook the elbow around the right knee. Holding on to the wrist. Turning and twisting. Bolting the outer hips for stability. Turning from the belly button. and then back up. Bringing the foot back in and back to kneeling. Elbows back, left leg forward and lunging. Lift the chest to the sky, lift the chin. And back up, moving the foot forward and further forward, and then densifying the heel and exhale, lunging. Bolting the outer hips, lifting the chest, twisting to the left hand holds the left outer thigh. Stretch the right arm and bend the elbow and hook it around the front of the knee and hold the left wrist, turning and twisting. With the exhale, turn the right belly button to the left. And then coming back out, moving the foot back in. And coming back to kneeling. Placing the hands on the mat, widening the knees apart, turn the toes under, Adho Mukha Svanasana with heels lifted, bend knees. And extend. And bend, lift the buttocks high. And extend. And bend, be broad everywhere, and extend, walking the feet forward, turning the heels slightly out, gripping the knees up, hanging Uttanasana. Move the outer arms into the palms of the hands to keep that broadness in the shoulder area, the neck unconstrained. And then placing the hands on the hips, micro bending the knees, pressing down into the heels as we come up, outer arms back. And feet together, Tadasana. Deep inhalation, deep exhalation. Okay, now taking 2 blocks, Parshvottanasana, bending and extending. So 2 blocks on their highest height, regardless of your flexibility factor, and the right leg starting forward, the left leg moving back. Nice wide stance, turn the hips and come down, place the hands on the blocks underneath the shoulders. Grip the roots of the thighs, press the back heel down. Feel the weight of the pose moving back, but the chest moving forward. And now bending that front knee, and as we bend the knee, draw the femur bone into the hip socket. And then extending and keep it gripped in. Heels tense. And bending the front knee. And then extending, gripping in, lifting the chest. One last time, bending the front knee. And staying with the femur bone as we extend the legs straight. Preparing to lift, coming up, and changing sides. Left leg forward, right leg back. So notice how this bend, extend, repetitive, lighter movements, very soothing for the mind, soothing for the joints in the body too, but very soothing for the mind too. Nice wide feet, turn the hips, elbows back, Coming forward, finding the blocks, making sure they're underneath our shoulders. Pressing down into the hands to lift the chest, turning the hips. Gripping the legs. Push backwards and down into the back heel. Push down and forward into the front heel. So the feet pushing away from each other. And now bending that front knee, drawing that left femur bone into the hip sockets. And extending. Grip again. And then bending that front knee. Femurs into the hip sockets. And push, extending, connecting the heel energy. Lift the chest. One more time, bending that front knee. Deepening. And pushing, extending, re-grip the legs. Lift the chest. Preparing to come up. Keep the legs gripped as we come up. Hands to the hips, outer arms back. And releasing the feet together, Tadasana. Arms extended, relax the face from all effort that may have crept up onto there. Be fully present in the feet. Press down, lift the quadriceps up. Feel the fountaining of lightness coming up through the chest. And Parshvattanasana into Parivrtta Trikonasana. So, hands on the hips, right leg forward, left leg back. Nice wide stance. Hands to the blocks, adjusting just as they were. Turn the hips more and more to the front. Find the presence of the back heel, the power of the back leg holding us there. We're going to turn and twist to the right. The left hand is going to stay on the left block. And we're going to turn and lift the right arm to the sky with the exhale. So inhale, lengthen the front spine, roots of the thighs firm. Exhale, twisting. Now reconnect with the back heel. Open the chest, stretch the arms. And back down. Grip the femur bones into the hip sockets again. Inhale. And exhale, turning and twisting. Press the back heel back down, squeeze the back inner knee. Turn, twist. And back down. Regrip the legs into the hip sockets. Inhale. And exhale, turning and twisting. Press down to lift up. Roots of the thighs into those hip sockets. Turn from the belly button. And 2. And 1. Coming back down. Preparing to lift. And back up. And Tadasana. Changing sides. Hands on the hips. Left leg forward. Right leg back. Hands to the blocks. Connecting with the energy of the heels, pressing the back heel. Back and down. The front heel down and forward. Grip the roots of the thighs. Move the chest forward so the front spine stays long. Okay, let's begin our twisting list. Twisting to the left, we're going to keep the right hand on the block. Inhale. Exhale, twisting to the left. And then back down, re-grip the legs. Preparing again, inhale. Exhale, twisting to the left. Roots of the thighs firm. Squeeze that back inner knee. Try and turn from the belly button. And back down. Press into the heels. Move the chest forward. Last one, inhale. And exhale, twisting to the left. Press down to lift that top arm up. And 2, roots of the thighs firm. And 1, bring the arm back down. Parshvattanasana. Preparing to lift, grip the legs. Lifting up, hands on the hips. Elbows back, chest lifted. And step the feet together. Tadasana. Deep inhalation, deep exhalation. Okay, let's move our blocks to the side. Just here. And come to simplified tree pose. Simplified Vrikshasana. So we're going to interlock the fingers like this. I'm turning you because I'm not sure if you can, how high you can see. And then we're going to turn the hands out. And then we'll be changing the cross of the interlock. So from Tadasana. Lift the arms, interlock the fingers, turn the palms out. Press down into the heels, grip the legs up, and lift the arms up. Lift the arms higher, higher, higher. Now draw the head of the arm bone into the shoulder socket. But keep lifting the rest of the arms, pushing up through the heels of the hands. And 2. And 1. Coming back down. Changing the interlock. Turning the palms out. Tips of the thumbs touching. Elbows straight. Lifting up. The sacrum moving towards the heels. The front thighs gripping upwards to help the front body open. Stretch those arms, stretch the armpits. Now draw the head of the arm into the shoulder socket. And re-stretch the rest of the arms. And 2. And 1. Coming back down. And releasing. Same thing with the arms, but Utkatasana legs. So bring the arms in front. Interlock, turn the palms out. Lift up. Pressing into the heels, begin to bend the knees. Moving the buttocks backwards. The femurs coming into the hip sockets. Press the inner knees against each other firmly, bolt the outer hips, keep pushing up through the heels of the hands. Squeeze the elbows, and 2, and 1. Coming back up, and releasing. Changing the interlock, arms up, change the interlock, lifting up, and exhaling, deepening the groins. Pressing down into the heels, roots of the thighs in, stretching those arms again, pressing the inner knees against each other firmly, deepening, deepening, and 2, and 1. Back up, and exhale, and releasing. Deep inhalation, deep exhalation. Coming to the front of the mat. Turning the toes in, the heels out. Inhale. Exhaling down. Hanging Uttanasana. Keep pulling the elbow tips down. And then hands on the mat, stepping back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, heels pressing down, sit bones lifting up. Lift the fingertips off the mat, lift the toes off the mat, being in the heels of the hands, the heels of the feet. The shoulder blades pressing forward into the back to better open the armpit area, the ribs of the breast area, and broadening those side ribs. And then coming down, and knees to the ground, and hands on the hips. Right leg forward, lunging, and back up, moving the right foot even more forward, lunging, press the inner heel down, right hand to the thigh pressing down, left arm extending, bend the elbow, hook the knee, hold the wrist. And now the outer elbow to the outer knee, Press, continue that tractioning. And then coming back out. And leaning. Changing sides. Lunging. Hands back up. Moving the foot forward. And lunging, pressing the inner heel down. Roots of the thighs into the hips. Left hand, pressing the left thigh down. Extend the right arm. Bend the elbow and hooking around the front of the knee. Twisting. And now bringing the outer elbow to the outer knee. And pressing to turn even more. Yielding from the abdomen with each exhale. And back out. And kneeling. Coming down. Some shoulder openers. So widening our knees apart just a little bit, so that we can come and lay down and bring the forehead easily to the floor, Balasana. From Balasana, lifting the arms up behind us, interlocking the fingers, tips of the thumbs touching again, and lifting the arms up and over. Each inhale lifts the arms and extends. Each exhale deepens the arms coming over. And then bring the arms halfway down. Change the interlock of the fingers. Tips of the thumbs pressing against each other. And shoulder openers on the other side. The inhale, lifting the arms up, rolling the front shoulders back. And the exhale, bringing the arms over. And the arms coming back down and releasing to Balasana. And then stretching the arms forward, spreading the palms, spreading the fingers, turning the inner elbows to the sky, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And walking the feet forward, turning the toes slightly in, the heels slightly out. Keep the fingertips on the floor. Press down into the inner heels. Bending the knees like Utkatasana, moving the buttocks back. The femurs coming into the hip sockets. Widen the knees apart just a little bit so you can get the trunk through. Keep deepening. Now hold onto the upper arms. And pull the elbows towards the mat. Keep pressing down into the inner heels. Femur bones coming into the hip sockets. And then pushing through the feet, rising back up. The legs slowly straightening, making sure you're right there at the heads of the femur bones. The moment they straighten, gripping up, the quadriceps gripping up, pressing down, gripping up. And now move the outer arms towards the palms and feel the shoulders broaden around the neck area and relax the face completely. And then hands on the hips, bending the knees, pressing into the heels, elbows back, lifting up, lift the organs, and stepping the feet together, Savasana. Okay, and it's now time for the work that we did with our arms from simplified Vrikshasana on into Utkatasana, to bring those same arms into Virabhadrasana 1. So starting with the hands on the hips. Right leg forward, left leg back. Taking a nice wide stance as much as possible. Grip the roots of the thighs. Bring the arms in front. Interlock the fingers, turn the palms out, tips of the thumbs touching. Lifting up. Move the tailbone forward, re-lift the arms to stretch the armpits, and with an exhale, bend the front knee. Absorbing the femur bone into the hip socket, keep re-stretching the arms. Lift the chin slightly, lift the chest, re-stretch the arms. And 2, and 1. Coming back up. And bring the arms down, hands to the hips. And changing sides. Left leg forward, right leg back. Taking as much width as your balance will allow you to have. Bring the arms in front, change the interlocks, turn the palms out. Grip the legs. Inhale, lift. Make sure that back inner knee is squeezed and straight. Re-lift the arms. And exhale, bend the front knee. Draw the femur bone into the hip socket. Press down into the inner heel. Re-stretch the arms. Move the tailbone forward. Lift the chin, lift the chest. Re-stretch the arms. And coming back up. Extend the arms in front. Hands to the hips. And raise. Hanging Uttanasana. Toes in, heels out. Outer arms back, legs gripped. Exhaling forward. Holding the outer arms. Squeeze the inner knee up to the inner groin, all the way up the length of the inner thigh. And then roll the inner groins back to the wall behind. Placing the hands on the mat and jumping back to Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Lengthen, broaden. Lift the fingertips up, press into the heels of the hands. Lift the toes up, press into the heels of the feet. And peak and lighten the sit bones to the sky. And now bending the knees and coming to the mat. So you may want to block for our next version of lunges into twisting, Parivrida Preparations. Let's grab a block and have that handy just in case. Bringing it to the right side of the mat. Again, you have several blades available to you. So picking the one that you think is right for you. And then coming onto the tops of the feet, lifting the hips up. Hands on the hips, elbows back. Let's begin. Right leg forward. Stage 1, lunging. And back up. Stage 2, and we move the foot forward. And with an exhale, lunging. Checking that our shin is perpendicular to the ground. Right hand presses the right thigh down. Stage 1 of our twisting, hooking the inner elbow, holding the wrist. Stage 2, outer elbow, outer knee, outer thigh. And stage 3, bringing the outer armpit to the outer knee, the hand down, seeing if you need the block or not, choosing what's right for you. Turning, twisting. And now turn the back toes under and straighten the back leg. Squeeze the back inner knee, turning, twisting. And now stretch the right arm to the sky. Turn the arm and extend the arm over. Be sharp everywhere. Turning from the belly button. Arm back up, back to the hip, back knee to the ground, releasing into our lunge, coming out, foot coming closer, chest relifting, elbows back, and kneeling. Moving the block to the other side. Hands on the hips, outer arms back, and left leg forward. Stage 1, lunging. Lift the chest. And back up. Moving the foot further forward, so that as we lunge, the shin is perpendicular, pressing the inner heel down. Stage 1 of our twisting, left hand holds the thigh, inner right elbow holds the front of the knee, right hand holds the left wrist. Stage 2, outer elbow to the outer knee, tractioning. Femur still coming into the hip sockets, keeping the hips stable and turning from the belly button. And now stage 3, coming even more across, outer armpit to the outer thigh, the outer knee, hand down, finding the block or the floor as needed. Left hand to the hip, twisting. Pressing that arm against the thigh to twist more and more. And then turning the back toes under and straightening the back leg, squeezing the back inner knee. Femurs coming into the hip sockets. And then left arm to the sky, turn the arm and extend over diagonally. Push up through the back leg, stretch out through that top arm, turning and twisting. With an exhale, turn from the belly button, turn and twist, and 3, and 2, and 1. Arm back up, back to the hip, bending the knee to the ground, coming out into our lunge, and back up, moving the foot in, and back to kneeling, and sitting down in Vajrasana. Gomukhasana in Vajrasana. So extending the left arm to the left. Inhale and exhale. The right arm forward, palm up to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, scoop the elbow in, bring the arm up, join hands behind the back. The bottom hand pulling the top hand down. The front thighs pressing down, the chest lifting. And then releasing the hands, bringing the elbow in and down, parallel to the shoulder, extending the arm. Releasing the left arm to the side and Vajrasana. Changing sides. Extending the right arm. Exhale. Extending the left arm. Exhale, elbow in, lift, and join hands behind the back. The bottom hand pulling the top hand down. The left elbow tip moving towards the sky. And releasing the hands, bringing that left elbow down, scooping it in. Releasing the right arm, stretching the arms. And being in Vajrasana. Turning the toes under, spreading the toes and sitting on the heels, Vajrasana. Really take a moment to spread your big toes away from your index toes. You explore the space between the big toe and the index toe, so crucial. If the knees feel some resistance, pull the skin of the kneecaps up. You can also put blankets between the calves and the backs of the thighs. Garudasana. Lifting the arms up. Bending the elbows and lining the elbows up with the shoulders, so igniting intelligence there, so we're aware when we're doing this or this. And the left arm coming underneath and joining the hands. Move the shoulder blades down the back. The eyes diffusing, decentralizing. And releasing, finding our starting point, lining things up again. Inhale and exhale underneath, joining the hands. Shoulder blades going down the back. The front face receding and the gaze diffusing. And releasing, coming back to starting point, extending, and we are so happy to come off our toes and just let them release. Now stretch the right leg back and stretch the left leg back. And come back to kneeling. Okay, Supta Vidasana, 2 bolsters, a blanket, and a strap, meeting back on the mat. This is the setup, 1 bolster on top of the other staggered, and it is really helpful to place 2 blocks underneath the end of this bolster for stability. And then the blanket for the neck and head can come here, and if your neck and head need more, you can also take it like that. Alright, so preparing for Vilasana, straps are here, knees together, feet apart, tucked into the bolster, pull the calf back and out. sitting on the base, the first one. And let's take the strap and bring ourselves in. Tightening up. Okay, preparing to lie backwards. As we lie back, we want to make sure to move the buttocks towards the knees and finding here our blanket for the neck and head. The arms coming up, holding onto the outer arms and bringing the arms back. Soft, smooth inhalations and exhalations. Pulling the elbow tips back and down. The trapezius muscles going down the back. The sacrum moving towards the knees. We have an avid piano player above, and I think you can probably hear her. And since we've been in confinement for so long, she's doing a lot of practicing. We're going to change the cross of the arms. So re-stretch the arms up, changing the cross, and bringing the arms back. And I just have to take this off because it's really hurting me. There we go. And back down. Supta Virasa. Keep pressing to the tops of the feet, the shins, to activate the buttocks towards the knees. The elbows being pulled back and pressed down. And then stretching the arms back up. And bring the arms down. We're going to make our way out. Moving the buttocks up and back and finding Virasa. And then taking the straps off. And we're going to move to a wall just for a couple of poses. Upavishrapanasana with a bolster and a block sandwiched between our back and the wall. And we're sitting on the bolster. So meeting back there. Bolster right up against the wall. Coming to take a seat. Finding Upavishrapanasana. Pulling the sit bones apart. The inner groins rolling down, but you don't want to do this too much either. It has to be balanced on each side. The outer edges of the feet coming back to the hips. The heels pressing down, the front thighs pressing down. Taking our blocks and placing them behind so that they're activating the shoulder blade area, the thoracic spine, the thoracic ribs, And then hands to the ends of the bolster. Press down and lift the chest up. Outer arms back. Feel that space from inside that starts to unfurl once we've opened the outer carapace, the outer protection of the body. And this space in these poses here, observing from inside, this length, this broadness, the inner body expanding. It's no longer clenched in. And going into that. And now let's move the block and place it on the mat in front of us. Okay, bringing the legs into Baddha Konasana, same action. Bringing the block behind. And the hands this time on the thighs, on the inner groins, pressing down and rolling open so that the inner groins are continually being invited to roll back, the feet, particularly the outer edge of the feet, pressing against each other and traveling up the outer legs into the hips. So there's firmness and openness. The block gently pressing the shoulder blades, the ribs, the spine forward, so that as the inner body unfurls more and more and expands, we learn to make the outer body useful in that openingness. The eyeballs receding to the back skull, all of the senses turned inwards. And then taking the hands off the thighs, reaching back for our blocks and bringing them to the floor. Okay, we're going to move the bolster now so that it's arm's distance away from the wall. Coming to a Madhyachasana 3, the right knee bent facing forward, the left leg extended straight out in front, the thigh slightly rolling in, but the outer edge of the foot coming back to the hip. Turning and twisting to the right, finding the wall, the inner elbow hooking the knee, turning, twisting, and then moving to the outer elbow and moving this hand back on the wall, turning, twisting. Left heel firm. And unwinding, changing sides. Turning to the left, hand finding the wall. Stage 1, hooking the front of the knee and twisting, exhaling to the left. And then the outer elbow to the outer knee, finding Madhyachasana 3, moving the left hand back, increasing that twistingness. And the source of the twistingness starting from the navel. And coming back to the front, changing sides. And this time Madhyachasana 1, so twisting the other way. Turning to the left, away from the bent leg. Bringing the left hand back to the wall. And bringing the outside edge of the elbow to the inner knee, tractioning, pressing the two against each other, and turning and twisting. Lift the chest up, shoulder blades going down the back. Femur bones coming into the hip sockets. And then facing forward and changing sides. Manicasana 1, the left knee bent, the right leg straight. Twisting to the right, away from the bent leg, fingertips to the wall. Outside edge of that elbow to the inner knee, pressing against each other equally so that the arm isn't overpressing the leg and similarly the leg isn't overpressing the arm. Right in the middle, turning and twisting. Draw the femur bones in, and from that action, lift the chest and turn and twist from the navel. And then back to the front. Knees together, feet together. Coming to the front edge, moving the feet a little bit forward. And from here, holding onto the outer arms, crouching pose. Densify the heels, press them down and deepen the groins so the buttocks are descending towards the earth. The outer arms moving into the palms of the hands so the shoulders are broadening. Soft, smooth inhalations and exhalations. And then coming forward and releasing. Okay, it's now time for Shirshasana, and we are going to use a wall because we're going to do Virasanas in our Shirshasanas, and we want the wall to hold the dorsal part of the foot in for us for a more intense opening of the chest. So grabbing a blanket, moving the bolster, and let's meet back here. Entering, lifting the arms up, holding the shoulders, outer elbows in, elbow tips to the edge of the blanket. Interlock the fingertips, press the tips of the thumbs together and press the outer wrists down, brace and lift the shoulders up. Feel that strength, that ignition there. And then softly press the crown of the head to the ground and find the force from the arms, from the upper back, from the lats. Turning the toes under, straightening the legs. Walking the feet in, lifting the left leg up, the heel finding the wall, and then lifting the right leg up. Press the forearms down, lift the shoulders up again. Heels firm on the wall. And when we press both heels firmly, then the legs become stronger. And we can feel those muscles wrapping around the bones. The hips stable. Relift the shoulders. Relift the trapezius muscles. The lats in. Climb the heels higher and higher. The outer edges of the feet coming back towards the hips. And now we're going to come into Virasana. So bending our knees and the feet coming down the wall towards the buttocks. And then tucking the right foot in, so you're on the top of the right dorsal foot, tucking the left foot in. Knees together, feet slightly apart, just like the Virasana we did with two bolsters. Press down into the forearms, lift the shoulders up. Move the sacrum towards the knees. Over and over again, moving the sacrum towards the knees, Keep the outer wrists firm, the middle buttocks pressing forward. And as we breathe, feel the openings that are coming to the side ribs. And broaden, lift, making more and more space for the inner body to expand. Femur bones still coming into the hip sockets. And then to removing, taking the legs out of Virasana. Re-straightening the legs, finding Shirshasana. Firm the heels to firm the legs, climb the heels higher, get length again. Getting taller and longer as we press down, lifting up. And now keeping the right heel pressed where it is, lowering the left leg down. Lift the shoulders as the left leg comes down. And then lowering the right leg. Sitting back on the heels. And holding the upper arms with our hands. Yoga Mudrasana, trying to move the inner elbows forward to really stretch the tricep and the underarm area. And then coming back up. And it's now time for Ushtarasana, using the wall for the pubic bone. So 2 blocks and coming to the wall. If you like to have some padding for your legs, turn the blanket so you've got the length of it working for you. Taking our blocks, coming in. You have to move the blanket in just a little bit to get those blocks in the right position. Tilt the pelvis and feel the pubic bone connect to the wall, roots of the thighs firm. Press down into the dorsal feet firmly. Lift the chest, outer arms back. Inhale. And exhale, reaching with both hands at the same time for the blocks. Press the pubic bone to the wall. Roll the front shoulders back. Roots of the thighs in the hip sockets. And coming back up. And sitting down. Taking a little breather, we're going to come for a second one. Alright, lifting up. Tilting the pelvis. Outer arms back, preparing. Exhaling. Finding the blocks. Pressing the dorsal feet down. Roots of the thighs firm, lifting. Tailbone moving forward. Pubic bone firm, even. Collarbones lengthening. Now press the shoulder blades up. Press down into the hands to relift. Fountain the sternum up to the sky. and 2, and 1. Back up, and sitting back down. Vajrasana, taking a breath. And then moving the blocks to the side, turning around. Yoga Mudra Sangha 3. Let's just move this blanket to the side. You could fold it up and have it for support if you know that your hips tend to be tight. Crossing the left knee behind the right. Widening, sitting down on block, blankets, or the mat. Evening out those feet. And exhaling forward. Yoga Mudra. Keep reaching forward, lengthening and grounding the hips back. Femurs coming into the hip sockets as we extend forward. And then coming up in order to go and twist Parivrita to the right. And to the left. And then back up and changing sides. From the hands and knees, crossing the right knee behind the left, widening, taking support or not, evening out the feet. Exhaling forward. Yoga Mudra Sangha Mukha 3. Femurs still being drawn into the hip sockets. And the buttocks grounding to the earth as we stretch the fingertips forward. And then coming up and turning and twisting to the left first. Twisting from the belly button over and over again. And then to the right. And back up. And uncrossing. Releasing. Okay, it's now time to get a chair for a Viparita Dandasana, supported back bends on the chair. So, grabbing all of our equipment, and let's meet back here. We're going to have our feet pressing against the wall. Here we are. If you want to decrease the arch on the lower back, you would take your blocks and have 2 of them against the wall, the height of your choice for your heels. I'm going to move mine aside. And then if you like to have support for the crown of the head, a bolster and a blanket here, so that when you come over, they're waiting for you there. Okay, let's come into our chair with our straps. And putting our legs through. Tightening up. Preparing to come in. So we're lifting the buttocks, moving them forward. Heels onto the blocks or on the floor. And then pressing, sliding back. Crown of the head to the blanket, and then holding onto the upper arms with our hands. Move the outer arms into the palms of the hands to keep that broadness within the length that this arm variation brings. Always looking for balance, so length and broadness, broadness and length. Press the front thighs down. The feet vibrant, guiding us to keep the legs firm. Femur bones coming into the hip sockets. Let's change the cross of the arms now. So stretch the arms back, palms facing each other, and changing the hold of the arms. Reconnect with your feet, with your heels, moving the front face back so it's not pushing forward. The hands pulling the elbows back and pressing down. And the outer arms moving into the palms, so that there's that broadness as well. And now releasing the hold of the arms, stretching the arms back. And then bring the arms up, holding onto the bringings, bending the knees, feet to the floor, bending the elbows back. They find the seat of the chair and they help us to push up. And the hands come to the chair. We lift the buttocks up, moving them back. Right back, taking up the whole seat with the back of the thighs. Move now the strap down to just above the knees and loosen it a little bit so that the feet can be hip distance apart parallel. The knees also widen the sit bones apart. Hands back to the railing, lift the chest, Balavajasana, inhale. And exhale, turning to the right. As we twist to the right, sending attention to the left femur bone and the left foot. Pressing the left heel down and activating the left femur bone into the hip. And then twisting again. Back to the middle. And twisting to the left. Inhale. Exhale. The arm coming around. Connect with the right leg, the right femur bone, the right foot, the right heel. Press the right heel down. Activate the right femur bone into the hip socket and continue to turn and twist to the left from the navel. And then coming back to the front, press the heels down, press the front thighs down, lift the chest up. And releasing. Okay, let's take our straps off. Time for Savasana. We're going to use a chair and a bolster. In fact, we have a lot of the equipment ready, but we need to come out and we need to put the mat underneath our chairs. So, moving everything, putting your mat, and then pretty much placing things almost how they are. Leaning back here. So, a normal chair Savasana. The only thing that's different today is that instead of having the bolster this way, we've turned the bolster this way. The outer edges of our shoulders will be on this blanket to the back of the head, and this part of the bolster will be pressing into our upper back, our shoulder blade, our thoracic spine area, like the blocks against the wall. So pressing the chest open, the inner body expanding. And this, I have two blankets here because I'm about 5'8", so I need to have some height for the hips. Again, you have to play with things according to the vehicle and the chair. Some chairs have higher backs, some chairs don't have two of these. It all depends, but we can always make them work. Okay, let's come into our chair Savasana. Moving the buttocks forward. Coming down, keeping the buttocks moving forward, lying back, and now we start to scoot ourselves back, holding onto the chair, bringing the feet up, moving the hips a little bit more towards the edge, the front seat of the chair, and then hooking the backs of the knees back on the railing, now threading the arms into the chair, and holding onto the back legs, outer arms down to the ground, feet back to the railing now. Everything should feel beautiful. Feeling the end of the bolster penetrating into the upper back there. And when you're ready, with an exhale, straightening the legs diagonally away from you into longitudinal chair Savasana. So the legs are not resting, they are charging, you're pushing through them. The outer edges of the feet are coming back towards the outer hips, and we're bolting the outer hips together. Keep trying to move the outer arms down, and from that downward pressingness, lift the shoulder blades up. The front face melting gently backwards. And now bending the knees and bringing the feet to the railing. And with an exhale, straightening the legs, this time up to the sky. You can see your feet. Are they really doing what you think they are? Can you spread the toes? Can you pull the outer edges of the feet down towards the hips? And with that action, bolt the outer hips, bringing firmness to the lumbar. And now coil the middle and upper back, rolling the front shoulders back, coiling the middle and upper back, the bolster pressing forward, helping us to coil, the chest opening. Push up through the balls of the feet. Press the outer arms down to increase the opening, the lifting. And now it's the inner body that's expanded so much that it's gently pushing the outer body, the carapace, open from inside. And now we're going to widen the feet apart, but Upavishtakonasana, so don't turn the feet open. Widen the feet. Imagine your heels are pressing on the ground. Front thighs pressing to the thigh bones, femurs coming into the hip sockets. Outer edges of the feet coming down towards the hips, pushing up through the inner foot. Once again, activate the arms, the upper back, coil the upper back. Broaden, lift the ribs, charge the legs. And then bringing the legs back up, back together, lining them up. Bending the knees, feet to the railing. Opening the legs, finding Baddha Konasana. Bringing the soles of the feet in towards each other and pressing them against each other. The inner groins continually roll into the outer groins. Sucking the outer edges of the thighs inwards up towards the outer thigh bones, sucking the skin there, the flesh, the muscle, upwards, upwards. And now find the outer hips and squeeze them in towards each other. So again, there's no pacification here. We're getting a beautiful broadness to the pubic bone and opening of the groins, but we're not pacifying in it. The upper arms pressing down and the shoulder blades pressing up. Observing that freedom that's being revealed inside. And then bringing the legs back up, the inner knees resting. We're going to release the hands and slowly slide backwards and down. Sliding nice and gently. The only annoying thing is when you have long hair, there you go. Coming down. Lower back is resting on the bolster. Feet are resting against the outer back railings, inner knees resting against each other. Soft, smooth inhalations and exhalations. And now moving back completely off the bolster. Resting the calves on the chair just for a little bit. Okay, Jatara Parivartanasana, always exquisite after Savasana. So rolling over, and let's move our chairs, our equipment out, and come back with a strap and a block on our mats. Block and a strap, we're going to use the long edge of the mat for our arms and shoulders. So turning, we'll be bringing the knees to the left first, twisting to the right, and lying down. Move, there we go. I'm squished here because otherwise I think I'll be guillotining myself if I move backwards in terms of the camera angle. Okay, bringing the feet up, and let's get the strap on our legs. Tightening up. There we go. So the hands are going to hold and press down and away. The elbows are lifted so the arms are vibrant. Okay, bringing the block in to the outside edge of that hip, quite high. We're going to be rolling onto it. Our outer hip will be on it in our Jatara Parivartanasana. Inhale, press down and away with the hands, ignite the arms, and exhale, knees to the left, outer hip onto the block, knees to the left, elbows, press the hands down and away, and turn and twist to the right. As we twist to the right, pay special attention to the left femur bone. Preparing to unroll, back to the middle, moving our blocks. Doesn't that feel just exquisite is the word for me. Bringing that block right into the right hip, holding onto that with our hands, pressing down and away from each other so the arms are active. Inhaling and exhaling, the knees to the right, coming onto the block, knees towards the right elbow, and pressing the hands down and away from each other with the exhale, turning and twisting to the left. As we twist to the left, draw the head of that right femur bone in. Twisting from the belly button as the center point. Preparing to come out, rolling off, taking the strap off, and coming to lie on our mats like we normally do, so to speak. Strap to the side. Make sure the lower back is flush on the mat. Okay, placing the right outer ankle on the front of that knee, and with our hands interlocked behind the back of the knee, and the elbow on the inner right knee, pressing it away as we bring the left leg towards us. Soft, smooth inhalations and exhalations. And then releasing our hands, keeping our legs where they are, sliding them underneath the calf. The right arm is by the right knee, the left arm is by the right ankle, so they're separated. Bending the elbows around the shin, so the shin is in the inner elbow and pulling the shin towards us. Even here, the outer edges of the feet traveling up the outer legs towards the hips. And then straightening that left leg, extending it, releasing the right arm, bringing it behind the head and holding hands. And with control, extending the left leg down. The heel to the ground, the thigh rolled in. Pressing the front thigh down. Femurs coming into the hip sockets. And then the fingers releasing. And feet back to the floor. Alright, last time, last side, last pose before Savasana. Part of the Supta Padanusthasana cycle. So let's bring the outer left ankle to the front of the thigh. The inner groin rolling open like our Baddha Konasanas. Interlocking the fingers behind the knee. The elbow pushing the inner knee back, helping the groin to open as we bring the right leg towards us. Now we're going to move our arm position, so releasing the fingers, bring the arms underneath the calf, separating the arms. The inner elbow is holding the shin as we bend the arms, bringing the shin towards us. Feel the broadness coming to the sacrum, the femurs coming into the hip sockets. And now extending that right leg. Outer edge of the foot coming back towards the hip. And releasing the left arm. Bringing it behind. And holding fingertips, holding hands. Beginning to lower that right leg down. Grip the muscles around the bones, lowering. Rolling the thigh in. The heel connecting firmly. Outer edges of the feet coming back towards the hips, traveling up the outer legs to the outer hips, bolting the outer hips. Front thigh of that right leg pressing down. Weight of the trunk bringing us deeper. Observing all of that smooth breath. And then releasing. And feet to the ground. And it is now time for Savasana. So you could have a bolster underneath your knees, that would be really nice. Or you can have a bolster on top of your thighs. Or just classic Savasana, little blanket under the neck and head, and lying straight down on the mat. Picking what works best for you today, and let's meet back on the mat. Where are my blankets? Oh, they've all gone over there. Here we are, for the flower of our practice. The moment of receiving. And I'm going to use a bolster underneath the knees because it really enhances for me at the moment the releasing of the abdominal cavity and all of the organs. So lying down, tilting the pelvis and coming into position. Placing the hands on the abdomen and just gently, very gently, pulling towards the floor as we tilt the pelvis. And then just softly allowing it to continue melting towards the ground. The groin is completely soft. The roots of the thighs completely soft. No more gripping. No more effort. The arms now extending diagonally away. Rolling the arms open from the root of the arms, the shoulders. And with the energy of gratitude coursing through us, gratitude for this moment, right here, right now. Closing the eyes. And resting in the peaceful embrace of Savasana. And now, preparing to roll over to the right. And then coming back up and taking a seat on the bolster or a blanket if you didn't have a bolster, crossing the ankles, or Savasana, palms together. And in this state of abundance, sharing that which we have to offer, that which we have of excess, to the universe. Sending it out. Loka samastaha sukino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And the hands releasing, the chin lifting. And welcome back. From our journey, our practice is complete. I really needed that. I had the apartment to myself for the past 24 hours, which is rare, and it's been a treasured delight. And this moment here on the mat, well, I hope it brings you the same joy and peace that it's just brought to me. Namaste. See you again soon.